Road America saw the American Le Mans Series return after 2 races in Canada, and yet again the Dyson 675 car of James Weaver and Butch Leitzinger took pole and led the race at the green flag, followed by the 2 Audis. In the GTS class, the CompuWare Corvettes dominated the qualifying session over the 2 Care Racing Ferraris. For the second race in succession, the 20 car had to start from the back of the grid, whilst the 16 car was still in control. But it wasn't to be for much longer when a collision with a JMB Ferrari was to put Leitzinger down to 3rd. And then matters were made worse when this happened.
I'm in the wall very hard, out of the race.
Are you okay?
10-4, I'm okay.
John Field was now up to 1st in the 675 class, but it was not a straightforward day for the Intersport team. With the 16 car out, the number 1 car had been leading until the leaders pitted for the first time, and Johnny Herbert took the lead as he exited the pits first when the used car was left foundering with a faulty starter motor. There had been drama in the GT class also, with the 2 Alex Joe Porsches hitting problems. The 31 car was in the lead, while Spencer Pumpelly and Kurt Wagner were holding a close 2nd and 3rd in class.
And there's a position battle in front of you there, position battle.
But the closest battle was in the GTS class, with Johnny O'Connell all but feeling the breath of Jan Magnussen as he fought for a way past the Corvette and eventually finding a way through to record the first victory for Brabham and Magnussen in the Ferrari. And it was the 2nd win of the year for JJ Leto and Johnny Herbert in the champion Audi, whilst men of the race had to be Chris Dyson and Andy Wallace, who worked their way up from the back to the 675 class win and 2nd overall. It's back to California for the 7th round of the year at the awesome Laguna Seca circuit, and bright, warm and sunny conditions welcome the teams and the thousands of fans and drivers that are simply itching to get out on the tarmac. After winning at Road America, the GT crew of the 31 car, driven this time by Johnny Molden and Craig Stanton, arrived at Laguna hoping for more of the same and got off to a good start with the 3rd fastest time in the qualifying session. 2nd in class was the 24 car that was just beaten by their teammates in the 23 car, but Timo Bernhard was relieved to have secured 2nd.
I spin in turn 9 in the first flying lap, so it was not on the limit. I don't know, maybe there was some dirt on the track. It was a very sudden oversteer and I couldn't catch the car anymore. It was gone. And then I went backwards and hit the tire barrier slightly. And I went to the pit straight, and then they fixed it with tape. They taped the rear end. And so I went out and finished finally on 2nd position. So that's still okay, I think, with that car, because the car was not as it should be before.
In the GTS class, it was shaping up to be a familiar battle. Firstly, between the 2 Corvettes of Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell in the 3 car, and Ollie Gavin and Kelly Collins in the 4 car, which took 3rd fastest in class ahead of their teammates. The second part of the battle is that against the Care Racing Ferraris, that this time had the upper hand, but it was not surprisingly so.
We kind of expected this here at Laguna. This was where they got their first win last year. We have not been quite as quick as them on certainly one lap, but we think we've got a better race car than we had last year, and should be able to maintain a better race pace. And here that's critical because the pace just drops off so much. The track surface here, a lot of the tar is gone. It's just a shiny stone, and it's hard on tires. It's very abrasive. So you'll see the pace fall off, as much as 3 seconds through a tank of fuel. So we think that we're better than we were last year, and maybe not the outright speed, but we'll see.
The outright speed the Ferraris certainly seemed to have, with the winners here last year, Peter Cox and Thomas Enger, taking second fastest in the 550 Maranello. And just slightly faster was the 80 car of David Brabham and Jan Magnussen, who set class pole and 10th overall of the 35 car field.
Both cars, 1 and 2, very close, only 600s, so nothing really. So, and the car's been fast also in race trim with full tank, so I'm looking forward to every session here. We've gone faster and faster and faster, so hopefully we can continue that trend.
In the 900 prototypes, the number 10 Paynos of Olivier Beretta and David Salins went third fastest in class and 6th overall for a third row start to uphold the JML Paynos honours after the 11 car crashed out and won't be on the start line. Persevering after their problems in the last few rounds with electrical problems, the Intersport team had their junkyard dog, as they affectionately know it, up to 5th overall in qualifying and 3rd in the 675 class. Up in the qualifying order again, the 20 car was hoping to put behind the hard work of the last 2 rounds and start from a decent point on the road this time.
Well, that's easy for you to say, that things look very good. Now, without trying to bore the viewers here, we've been having a horrible problem with understeer since we've been here. All day yesterday, all day today, up until now. Car, I just couldn't get the car to turn at all. We were really, really panicking. What can it be? What can it be? We changed lots of things. We've since found that there's actually a problem with the diff, and it's gone tight. So it's pretty much almost a spool going into the slow corners. And as you know, here's a lot of slow corners, and the car's just pushing on, and that's the reason. But there was no time between the last session and qualifying to do anything about it. So I went into the session and I just got my head down and I drove as quick as I could. And yes, we're 4th on the grid, 2nd in class, but I know when we change the diff overnight, it's going to be a lot quicker than that.
3rd overall and 2nd in the 900 class was the champion Audi of Johnny Herbert and JJ Leto. Delighted to win last time out, now they have to do that again if JJ's to have any chance of taking the championship title this year.
Unfortunately, not so much for me, but more for JJ and for the team, that we need to do that because we have to win every race left. And now, I think we've got a good enough race car itself, so hopefully we can do that tomorrow and carry that on from Road America, obviously tomorrow, hopefully, and off to Miami in a couple of weeks.
The 16 Dyson car was again high in the qualifying order, 2nd overall and 1st in the 675 class, and hoping very much that this time they could make up for the crash last time out, and also that reliability would be on their side.
Well, the only race it ever did trouble-free was Sears Point, and we won that. So, there's no reason not to drive it flat out. I claim I can't break it. I claim it keeps breaking down. So, we're going to go flat out and hope for the best. But it's just been idiot electrical problems that have stopped us every time. We haven't had any major mechanical problems, and that makes it all the more frustrating. But it's with a turbo engine, it's a very hostile environment under that engine cover. Everything, like the turbo runs at 1,000 degrees. You've got the starter motor, the alternator buried right down in the front of the engine. So the actual basic concept of the car is, when you get to these hot circuits, like here, the whole thing's very marginal. It's probably fine at Le Mans with an ambient of 70 or 80 Fahrenheit. But when the ambient's over 100 degrees, we struggle a bit.
Struggle is not a word that Frank Bieler and Marco Werner have had to use. They've had pretty much a smooth run, with only the problem at Road America to trouble them. The year's team took pole at Laguna Seca for the 4th consecutive time. Frank Bieler has won the last 2 races here, whilst Marco Werner is racing for the first time, but both are hoping for their 5th win of the year so far. On paper, it should be the Audi that has the better car for the job here, but you can never rule out the 675s. It could be a nail-biting chase for the GTS class, with the Corvettes playing catch-up. Problems in warm-up for the 038 car saw a lot of attention needed, but no problems for the number 1 car as they rolled out to the grid.
Yeah, I hope so. Everything is working well. Frank did a very, very good job in the practice, also in the qualifying. We are in the best position. That's important for the race start. And yeah, I think we have a good setup, a very, very good car, and I hope for another win this weekend.
It's a shame that we have missed the second car of the qualifying yesterday incident, but this is racing, and you know it's difficult to accept sometimes because you feel very bad when that happens, but what you can do, you know, it's not like a game TV where you can reset the button and restart 2 minutes. We need time to prepare the car, and the team did a good things to don't let the car start, and better to be back to the factory and to rebuild properly for Miami race.
Well, we qualified 5th out at Elkhart Lake and it wouldn't start on the grid, so as soon as we're motoring off on the pace lap, I'll be pleased.
And Frank Bieler will be pleased if he can get a good start and have all the cars behind him, and soon he'll know as the start of the 2-hour 45-minute race draws closer. So confirmation then of the final qualifying order. The number 1 Audi up there in front with James Weaver and Butch Leitzinger, who will be lurking behind him in that 675 car as well. And just behind the teammates are Bradman Magnussen. The Cox and Enger 550 Ferrari will be looking out for those Corvettes, hoping to make a good start. So here we go then. James Weaver alongside the number 1 car, Frank Bieler doing the opening stint. There's the 2 Ferraris and the 2 Corvettes. And we're coming up now. The pit lane has the safety car in it, so we're getting a green flag this time. And here we go, the cars are starting to spread already, but now they go, and a great start for Frank Bieler in the number 1 Audi. James Weaver holding on to second, despite Johnny Herbert attacking hard as they go through down into turn 2. And there's cars smoking, there's a couple of cars going all over the place, and there's an incident on that corner, and a couple of cars involved, and I think that's the number 20 Dyson car that's stuck in the gravel. Incredibly. That car is going to be at the back of the field if it can keep going for the 3rd time as the others come through. And there was a collision also between the 2 550 Ferraris. And now we have the number 1 Audi still leading. But I'm sure that we're going to have a full course yellow. 2nd place now, Johnny Herbert has got past James Weaver, who's into 3rd place. Olivia Beretta up to 4th now. Then it's John Field, and then it's the number 12 car, and there is the double yellow flags. It's a full course yellow. The safety car is out. That's the reason why, because Chris Dyson is stuck in the gravel at turn 2. And can you believe the luck of this team? Here's a replay as you see them all coming down, and it's hard to know exactly what happened there. And the Bucknam car just got it back onto the track. And here's a replay from the back, a whole lot of tyre smoke. And the Ferrari's making contact, and damage reported to the number 80 car. And a couple of cars spinning, but only one that stopped to go. The number 4 car in the gravel there as well. So Ron Fellows has gone ahead. The recovery team now are going to pull that number 20 car out of the gravel. And he will be able to continue if he can, but we're told damage to the number 20 car. We'll see if we can get a look at that. The front doesn't look too bad, but these cars are very fragile underneath as they work. And here's a replay again then, and we see the 20 car locking up, and also one of the Porsches putting out a lot of blue smoke as they lock up the tyres. The 2 Ferraris touch but continue on, and through into the gravel. On the far side goes the number 4 car of Oliver Gavin. So here we go. We are about to get the green flag for the restart, and there it is. And rolling off quite nicely again is the number 1 Audi. The field hadn't really pulled out before that incident anyway, so nothing really has been lost. And number 1, number 38, number 16, and number 10 is the order as we go on board with Johnny Herbert inside the champion Audi, winners last time out at Road America. and they need to win now if they're going to have any chance of getting JJ Leto as champion. Johnny Herbert can't do it because he's a few points behind, so at the moment the championship order is the number 1 Audi of Frank Biela and Marco Werner, who lead JJ Leto, as we see the Corvette rather, that has moved up 1 place, having passed his teammate through that incident, Ron Fellows. But the 2 distinctive note-sounding Ferrari 550 Maranellos of the Care Racing team have changed position, and now the number 88 car leads the 80 car as they come through the corkscrew. And there is the green 0 car, the Raffinelli Team Olive green car. They have Bill Orbelane driving for them this weekend. Mimo Sciattarella is not quite fit enough, has an old injury come back. As we see Ron Fellows, 3rd in class and braking hard as they come round the final turn and along the start-finish straight. But Thomas Enger in the 88 car it is that leads Jan Magnussen in the 80 car, then Ron Fellows in the yellow Corvette. Ron Fellows, along with Johnny O'Connell, currently leading the GTS Championship, are going to have a hard job to win this year. There's the 71 Dodge Viper, the 30 car, the Intersport car, and there we see the Alex Job 24 car, Timo Bernhard and Jörg Bergmeister, who have got ahead of their teammates in all that confusion around turn 1 and turn 2. So lead the GTS class, and then that's the 31 car in second, who won last time out and just being passed now by the 23 car for second place as we ride on board. And we're on board inside the number 60 car. Alex Caffey is joining Robert Liddell this weekend inside that car, and they're currently holding 4th place in the GT class. So a long way to go for them as we come back to Johnny Herbert, who is 3rd now. He's been passed by James Weaver, 2nd overall, and leading the 675 class as we look back from the rear of the 16 car as that carves the way past through the Ferrari. And there is Johnny Herbert on board with him once again as he makes his way up through the traffic. And now he passes the Ferrari quite easily without any problems whatsoever. And there is in the pits now a problem for the 24 car, who've come in quite early on, and we're told it's an alternator problem. So the Alex Job bubble seems to have burst over the last few races. What are normally such trouble-free cars have run into a few incidents and a few problems, and it's not very often that they have any sort of technical problem. But that's what they've got now, and they're working on that car to get it back out again. And here's a replay. This is the 31 car getting mixed up with Johnny Herbert. And into the gravel goes the 31 car. Craig Stanton doing the opening stint in that car as we look back from James Weaver as Johnny Herbert goes for a passing manoeuvre. And, well, this is a replay then. This is a replay of what happened. And then the 31 car was caught in the way, and that's what caused that. As we go back on board now with Johnny Herbert still in 3rd place now. No reports of damage from that incident for the 38 car. 550 Care Racing Ferrari ahead of the champion Audi. And they really do have quite a high note, these 550 Ferraris that have been engineered and produced by ProDrive in Banbury. Awful lot of work they've been carrying on, and it was this time last year at this race they appeared and successfully had a win in the GTS class with Thomas Enger, and Peter Cox absolutely overjoyed and putting in a win. And then of course David Brabham and Jan Magnussen, who really have settled down into the cars, took the win in the GTS Classic Road America. Past the 18 car goes Johnny Herbert as we join Frank Biela, who is quite comfortably out in the front now. He's got a few seconds lead over Johnny Herbert, and that number 1 Audi is looking altogether very stable as we go on board now inside the helmet and behind the visor of Olivia Beretta who's up to 4th now in the JML Panos, as somebody ahead of him locks up a wheel or two, and I think that was the 71 Viper, and Johnny Herbert is into the pits now. We expect this will be a petrol-only stop. They were hoping to not change tyres, and certainly no tyres are ready, so into the pits. And an IMSA official in front of that car, so I think he's going to get a penalty maybe, just from the way they were talking, but fuel still going in. Car being inspected. Johnny sitting, waiting patiently, looking in his mirrors. Just watching the refuel filler, which comes off. Car starts, and he's being held. So looking around to see what's being what's going on, and a penalty for the 38 car. Seconds ticking away, but it seems like such a long time. And now he lights up the rear end of that champion Audi as he gets away from the pit box. And now he's going behind the wall. This is the back of the paddock. This is the back of the pit boxes. And heading up towards the champion garage. There's the mechanics marshalling him in. So big problems for the 38 car. And the rear transmission is going to be changed. Johnny Herbert gets out of the car, and they're going to take off essentially the rear half of that engine and gearbox block. There's another one hanging there, suspended, ready to go on, but some sort of transmission problems. They had to replace part of the wiring loom as JJ Leto gets in the car now. After the warm-up, when Johnny could smell a small electrical fire, and in that car is JJ Leto, and went into the tyres. Going off the gravel is the number 16 car. And quite what happened there, I do not know, but James Weaver...
Where are you?
Saying that he was in incident with a Porsche. And there's a 20 car as well at turn 5. As James Weaver...
Where are you, James?
James Weaver gets himself out of that predicament.
And that backed me up. They got on the outside of a Porsche. A couple of corners later, I'm going, mate. I think I'm all right. You're going to keep going. Look at the car as they come past. Copy.
So lucky there. It's more gritty dirt here, the runoff areas, than actual gravel. So he managed to get himself going. And the 20 car also, so both cars spinning at the same time. And James Weaver now getting back up to speed and seemingly okay with that car so far. But it will be anxious now for both of those cars while they get going again, just to feel exactly how they're going. The left-hand side rear right light cluster has gone from the back of the 20 car, but that was as a result of the incident right at the start of this race. And James Weaver's car, just having a look there, that seems to be okay. He's behind the number 18 car at the minute, and now holding on to second place still, but has got quite a bit of work to go to get back into the pace, but fingers crossed that no problems on that 16 car at the moment. So through he goes, and the Ferrari ahead of him that he needs to pass back. He did lose a bit of time, but luckily it's all worked out okay as he comes down the corkscrew, this incredible part of the circuit here at Laguna Seca. You just keep descending and descending, and of course you've got to go back up again, but this is on the flatter, more level part of the circuit, and a great track it is as well. Some of the cars struggling for grip this weekend because finding that a lot of the tarmac surface has actually been rubbed away now, but certainly all is okay for James Weaver as he comes through and into turn 1 and 2 and passes the
Okay, James, you're still
Ferrari.
P2, minus 58.
So 58 seconds.
Sorry about that, boys. Complete tuck-up.
Behind the leader is James apologises. The champion Audi made it back out onto the track. It took them 9 minutes to change the transmission, and now JJ Leto heads out of the pit lane and back onto the track. So very quick work from the champion team, as in the pits is Thomas Enger in the 88 car. Peter Cox changing over driver now. They're currently leading the GTS class. Fuel going in as well and tyres ready as Frank Bieler gets out of the number 1 Audi from first place overall and first in the 900 class. Marco Werner gets in now, and there was a few people who questioned the ability of Marco Werner in the earlier part of the season, but he's really sort of proving them wrong now. And such a capable driver, and his first race here at Laguna Seca, and quite enjoying the circuit as the fuel goes into that beast of a machine, the Audi R8. So the tyres go on now as the car comes up on its own inbuilt jacks. And the champion team didn't change tyres their first time round. The number 1 Audi has gone a little bit longer, so fresh Michelin's for that car, and they just have to pull it back slightly to clear a car that's ahead of them in the pits, one of the Dyson cars, and that's the number 20 car in the pits, I think. So Marco Werner now will settle himself down inside that cockpit and comes back, still leading the race as Tom Weichhardt spins in the number 71 Dodge Viper in the GTS class, as through comes the 0 car. So he survived okay. And in the pits now, Ron Fellows changing over to Johnny O'Connell. They were leading the GTS class, but Peter Cox now picks that up with the number 3 Chevrolet Corvette C5R in, and the mechanics ready to change tyres, just waiting for the refuelers to finish. The green light, single light on the side of the car, still showing that they're leading the class, but that will change very shortly as Johnny O'Connell gets himself strapped in tightly to that Corvette. He's now under pressure from those 2 Ferraris, and the front wheels off, and fresh Goodyear rubber going on. Only 2 jackmen allowed to work on the car. And back onto the ground again, and Johnny O'Connell screams out the Corvette and goes back into the challenge again, holding at 60 kilometers an hour first of all for pit lane. As we join now James Weaver's 2nd overall leader in the 675 class, and behind him 3rd place is David Salins, who's inside that now after taking over from Olivier Beretta, and then our 3rd overall.
No, I'm racing with Panos, but I was talking to them because they did a very good job and they were very fast compared to the Corvette, so I talked to them. But anyway, my race went well until the lap 5, lap 6. After, I think I lost a little bit of power, so it was difficult for me to follow the Dyson. But we are still on the same lap, and we are quite close now. We are running P3, and it's 1 hour 30 race, so I think it will be a long race too. But we will try to go quicker and to beat the 3rd place, because so far we have made a lot of podium, but 3rd we want to make 2nd now.
Olivier Beretta answering the question, are you after a drive at Pro Drive, after being seen in the pits there, is now into the pits comes James Weaver in the 16 car, and Butch Leitzinger steps inside, and James moves back in to help strap him in as the fuel goes into that machine, and Goodyear tyres are ready for that car as well. So 2nd overall they were, and leader of the 675 class, and surviving unbelievably that accident at turn 9. As we look at the Corvettes, GTS 3 and 4, Kelly Collins in the number 4 car.
-1 minute 17 seconds.
So now we get the latest information for the Corvette drivers from the pit lane, as we see the GTS, the GT and the 900 cars all together there. So the Ferraris fighting it out in the GTS class, or there's a GT car there as well, as Marco Werner picks his way through in the distinctive silver Audi, currently between the 2 Corvettes, and there is the GTS leader, Peter Cox, inside that 550 Maranello. as Marco Werner clears the two Corvettes now. And it could be an exciting battle today. Well, it certainly is already, but it will continue to be an exciting battle in the GTS class as now Peter Cox starts to catch up on the back of the Corvettes. And there is the Alex Job car, the Florida-based team. That's the 24 car of Jörg Bergmeister, who's back out now after their problems with the alternator early on, but they've lost an awful lot of time. GT P2, Anthony Lazzaro in the Competizione Ferrari 360 Modena. That was the 35 car. And David Brabham just ahead of him now in the number 80 ProDrive 550. Second in the GTS class at the moment. Coming up behind the number 88 car. So they're on the same lap and together. We click back to the 35 car. We're back on board now. This time with the 80 car battling out with the Corvettes and having to go wide. And a whole lot of action going on. John Field through there as well in the number 37 car. But these Ferraris are proving dynamite now. And they really have been working hard on them. You can see the black tape on the front nose of the left-hand side. This is inside the 63 car. Shane Lewis.
Pretty good driving. Like you guys just saw that move. One of the things we're having a difficult time out here is dealing with all the traffic. Great race course, but when you got this speed differential, it's really tough to get around here.
Sharing with Terry Borchella in that 360 Modena in the GT class, the 63 car. Working his way through. There he is now.
We did have some problems early on in the section, but things are working pretty good here for the race.
Currently behind the Paynos, just the one Paynos this weekend because of the crash in qualifying. The 11 car couldn't be repaired in time for the race, so they decided not to. So just one car out. So Olivia Beretta, David Salins in that car at the moment as John Field. The 37 car up behind the 63 car. And there is the 67 car, Biere, in the Racers Group Porsche. And we've got a replay now. This is James Weaver. Sorry, and that's Butch Leitinger now, of course, in the car for the pit stop. And that's it. The 67 car had spun at turn 11, which is the final turn as you come out along the start-finish straight. So he seems to be okay. Just a momentary stop. And the nature of these dirt beds, they do cause less damage to the cars, and they are able to recover from there, but still quite efficient, allowing them to scrub off the speed, although the wind does tend to whip the sandy grit onto the circuit a little bit. But today the wind has dropped quite a bit. Dropping quite a bit is JJ Leto's head under braking inside the 38 car, and it really is a talking point now, this camera angle and the way which he moves up and down according to the acceleration and the braking is captures a lot of people's attention. Slower downhill bit now, really hits the brakes hard as in the pit lane. This is actually coming out of the pits now. That's Jan Magnussen, who's inside that Ferrari and still leading in the GTS class. So he's taken over from David Brabham, who's back in the pit lane. And there is the 88 car that is in second place now in the GTS class, and Thomas Enger inside that car now. David Salins, second overall. Oh, bit of debris on the circuit. Second overall and second in the 900 class. That's come off one of the cars, and couldn't tell you which one from looking at it. And so we come back on board now inside the 63 car. And there is Jan Magnussen leading the GTS class in the 550 Maranello. Just one headlight working. And well, he's shown there as second in class currently. A bit of damage to the front left-hand side that was sustained in that collision, actually with his teammate at the start of the race. So round he comes. and bodywork was left flapping for quite some time until first time he came into the pits, and they put a lot of tape on to hold it down, which just helped the aerodynamics slightly. And there is the 88 car, which is leader in class, comes up behind the number 60 Porsche, the Robert Liddell and Alex Caffey car, and this is a spin at the top of the corkscrew, 63, and number 80 as well. Number 80 all over the place, Jan Magnussen. As David Salins goes through without any problems, but more damage to that car. We're on board now inside the 80 car. Here's a replay as it comes and collides at the top of the corkscrew with the 63 car and loses a lot of time there inside the 63 car, and you see the touch just sends him backwards and sideways, and then we'll see Magnussen continue on as we do. So Jan Magnussen loses a lot of time and a little bit more bodywork, I think, as well. And we're hearing now that there is a stop and go penalty for Jan Magnussen. So more time is going to be lost for Jan Magnussen. It's going to cost him 35 seconds or so, as he has to come into the pits for that stop and go penalty. And there is a wing mirror missing off that Ferrari, and I think that is the one that we saw on the track earlier on. But yes, it certainly looks like, look at it now, after comparing what we saw with the one that's still existing, so quite a bit of work for the mechanics at the end of this race on the number 80 car. But Jan Magnussen, you can't blame him for trying. He doesn't give up easy, and very aggressive driver he is as he comes into the pit entry now, and will go up to the pit. Care Racing will have to stop momentarily, and then will be free to continue on his way. There is Jan Magnussen, familiar helmet design, as he comes to a stop now. And straight away lets the clutch out again, lights up the rear end, and heads back out onto the circuit once again. Long exit out of the pit lane. Just this final turn now as he runs parallel and back onto the racetrack, but losing a lot of time. So down the order. Second still in the GTS class, so not done himself any harm as far as that goes. As we look at David Salins, continues on, looking like it's going to be another good weekend for the Paynos team. Second in class, but third overall in the race. So on for a podium position. And JJ Leto some way behind, making up ground. But it's looking good for the Paynos team, who will be very pleased with that, and some reward it will be as we go inside the helmet also of David Salins. A real impression of how much they're jostled around, working hard on the steering wheel, and his head moving around as he passes the Alex Job GT Porsche underneath the bridge. Just backs off the power a little bit. The 360 Modern gets out of the way for him. Just applies the power. It's the breakup in the picture there. That was just caused by him going underneath the bridge, and the signal to the overhead helicopter just losing itself for a little moment. Gorgeous setting here at Laguna Seca. It really is quite a breathtaking place. As we look down now from a high shot, looking down at the Dyson car, the familiar blue and white fairings, and you can only tell the difference between the two Dyson cars by the colour of the top of the roll hoop. One's got red, one's got yellow. Quick flash of the Audi, and there you see this is the rundown from the corkscrew, and the corkscrew just out of the picture there, but you continue on for quite some time as we join Marco Werner, who's coming round to finish and complete another lap. And it's not going to be that much longer now before he'll get the white flag, which indicates just one more lap to go for the race leader. Little puff of blue smoke there. He's still trying, keeping up a consistent pace, and going to be making more history for the Eurosport team. Ran 2 cars here last year, just the 1 car this year. Getting a high shot view again. And no traffic for him at the minute, so he's got a clear run. And he'll be pleased with that, because the last thing you want to be doing is having to clear traffic in the dying moments of the race, which has gone so well for them today. They've had no problems, they've had no dramas, and it's just been a case of steady driving as he just easily passes the GT 360 Ferrari that saw him coming, gone out of the way, and just continues on. The momentum's there, just putting in the laps time after time. As we come back to the 16 car, Butch Leitzinger, second overall, and 6.75 leader.
The leader will get the checkered flag next time by, Butch. You have 2 laps to go.
So currently lap behind the Audi, and the pit crew just telling him where they are in the race. Oh, the spinner, that's the 3 car, the Panos Esperanti, the GT car, in its first season that's in the gravel trap at, I think that's turn 6, so Joe Foster has got problems in that car. Quite a bit of smoke from that car, and I think, looking by the way that he actually entered that gravel trap, that that was not a case of driver error. Here we are, you can see a lot of smoke there. And he's heading towards a turn 6, and I don't think he actually was given much choice at all. And there we go, the car seemed to lock up, and into the gravel trap he goes in the dying parts of the race. But is that going to cause a caution, or will they just do it on the local yellows? I think that possibly will be the case, and that certainly seems to be what's happening now, as we see Marco Werner, no sign of a pace car. They'll keep it under local because there's not much that can be done now in the dying part of the stage. By the time they got it cleared, they'd be at the end of the race. So Marco Werner continues on, and around he goes and over the line once more. A bit more traffic ahead of him now, so he'll carefully pick his way through that. He comes round, and there is the 88 Ferrari. Thomas Enger inside that car, who are on the way to a victory, unbelievably, for the 2nd year in a row in the GTS class. The Pedersen by MontyMotorsport's GT car behind the back there, but there will be great excitement and also disappointment as well in the same pits. The Brabham and Magnussen team were hoping to take a 2nd victory here this weekend, but the way things have worked out, it's the Thomas Enger and Peter Cox team, the side of the Care Racing team, that's going to take the victory here. And there is the 0 car, Bill Auberlane, driving for the olive green Ferrari team this time, as the 23 car fights for position overall and just nips through. But that's the GT leader, and their position here today could have ramifications in the championship, as we see now the 16 car just ahead of the Audi, who's going to get the white flag this time. So 1 more lap to go for Marco Werner, and making no attempt to try and get past the 16 car. They're on a similar pace, but nothing to be gained by getting past, and not going to risk any sort of problems, and just letting Butch Leitzinger carry on with it. They've got one of the Racers Group Porsches that they're past now, and the PK Sport car as well just ahead of them, and they will go through to pass those, and through past the Racers Group Porsche now. That's the 68 Porsche, I think, if he goes through. For the last time in 2003 at the American Le Mans, 7th round of the season, Marco Werner leading the race, leading the 900 class, and ahead of him there the 2nd overall car, who will have to go round 1 more time because the checkered flag will come out as Marco Werner crosses the line. And it's all gone perfectly for them this weekend. It's through go. And there's the number 3 Corvettes, which is 3rd overall in the GTS class, and will also have to do another lap. And the checkered flag is out. The checkered flag for the number 1 Audi is shown in honour, and a great drive for the team. And round comes the 88 car of Thomas Enger. Peter Cox inside the pit lane watching as they come through to take their 2nd GTS win at Laguna Seca, ahead of Jan Magnussen and David Brabham, their teammates. And then it's the number 3 Corvette. So tremendous celebrations, and the 2nd win in a row for the Care Racing Pro Drive built Ferrari 550 Maranellos. And absolutely delighted they will be with that. And there is Lucas Law inside the 23 car, 11th overall. And winning the GT class. Checkered flag out, and victory again for the Eurst Audi in the 16 cars, 2nd overall and 675 class winner. But drama in the GTS class with the number 88 car excluded by the officials for a technical infringement that the team are contesting, and the 80 car awarded the win with the 3 Corvette now 2nd. Well, the 5th victory of the year for the Audi pairing, who put in another clean, faultless race and keeps up the team's continuing record at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, okay, we left on mistakes from the other guys, but was everybody was in trouble behind us, and that was good for us. But it was not so difficult. It was very difficult for me for concentration. It was not so easy as it looked. And okay, the car was very, very good, and Frank gave us a very, very good basic after the practice with the pole position, and after the start he did a very good job, and in the race it was everybody was okay for us. I think a perfect day for us. Thanks for the team and thanks for the Michelin guy. No problem to drive double stint with one set of tire.
Unofficially, the win for Sasha Masson and Lucas Law makes them GT champions again. They've now had 4 wins this year.
Yeah, it's great. We were very lucky. We had a bad start because of all the incidents that were happening in the first corner. I took it very, very easy. I didn't want to risk anything. And then afterwards we were leading. After my teammates had a problem, we were leading easy. And we were driving for the championship because our competition all had problems. So, and in the end, Lucas did a great job, brought the car back home. So that's it. We have a great win. Everything worked well. The car didn't have a problem. The Michelin tires worked well. So I'm so happy. And thanks to my little teammate here, we are champions again.
Frank Bieler and Marco Werner both lead JJ Leto in the championship standings, whilst Chris Dyson still hangs on to the 675 lead. Ron Fellows and Kelly Collins still have the GTS class lead. The top 3 overall on the podium hold up their trophies, and just 2 more rounds remain now. And next it's to the streets of Miami before the 10-hour finale at the Petit Le Mans.
Overall winners of our contest today, ladies and gentlemen, and now